A minor ripple has gone through the toxic waters of cable journalism this month. Of course, I'm talking about Chris Wallace of Fox News. Like someone who was created in the lab to look and sound more white than the universe could produce naturally, Chris Wallace is leaving Fox News after 18 years for CNN's new streaming service.
Finally, a personal note. After 18 years, this is my final Fox News Sunday. It is the last time, and I say this with real sadness, we will meet like this. 18 years ago, the bosses here at Fox promised me they would never interfere with a guest I booked or a question I asked, and they kept that promise.
Some people see this as a consequential loss for Fox News, given that Fox is already so detached from serious journalism. Brian Nemitz of the New York Daily News writes, CNN made itself better by adding the measured and respected Wallace. Full stop. But the station also delivered a gut shot to its competitors at Fox News, where Wallace's steady hand could no longer offset the increasingly radical outlet's loose grip on reality. And media critic for the Washington Post, Eric Wemple, lamented that Wallace omitted from his farewell any celebration of the broader Fox News product. In the last year of Chris Wallace's tenure at Fox News, he has had to watch as his colleagues on the opinion side of the network buttressed and amplified the big lie that the 2020 election was stolen from Donald Trump. That strain of programming culminated in the recent 3-part Fox Nation series from host Tucker Carlson titled Patriot Purge, which pushed the idea that the January 6 rioters are victims, not perpetrators. NPR reported last month that Wallace, along with news anchor Bret Baier, had expressed concerns to top Fox officials about Patriot Purge. It's unclear what impact, if any, the feedback affected. What is clear is that the network has found its voice in Carlson. But in reality, Chris Wallace leaving Fox is unlikely to have any serious impact in either direction. First, what has Chris Wallace contributed as a journalist, and what is he bringing to CNN? Wemple writes that perhaps his most glorious moment was a July 2020 alfresco interview with then-President Donald Trump, which produced so much material that CNN's Chris Cillizza found 55 most shocking lines. As important as it is for journalists to challenge politicians, the most challenging questions come from reporters who usually aren't given access to those politicians. See, one thing Chris Wallace is known for is his willingness to give tough follow-up questions to both Democrats and Republicans and challenge them in interviews. I certainly don't want to take anything away from him, and anyone on Fox who's willing to tell Ted Cruz or Stephen Miller or Donald Trump that they're wrong to their faces, that's positive. But apart from that, how is he different from anyone else operating in the cable news framework? Does he fill a kind of coverage void on Fox News? Is he drilling down on climate change or police reform? When he's challenging his guests, does he challenge them on the extradition of journalists or the military budget? How much actually separates him from the rest of Fox?
And joining us now, Texas Governor Greg Abbott. Governor, let's start with the surge of illegal immigration across the border. In March, more than 172,000 border stops across the state. That's the highest in 20 years.
And the departure of one anchor is not simply the increasing purification of Fox into the Tucker Carlson network. As different as the anchors and their subject matter can be on a cable network, the leadership at the network stays the same. All the people at the top having meetings about stories that are going to be covered, what anchors get promoted, what guests are acceptable, whatever pull a single anchor has. And the single anchor we're talking about here, his biggest selling point really is that he's to the left of Trump and Tucker Carlson. Whatever pull he had at Fox, it was against the entire Fox leadership and the Murdochs. So the fact that he was there for 18 years should tell you he has more in common with them than the average CNN viewer would probably like to think. And while acknowledging what a pernicious force Tucker Carlson is on this country, it seems sometimes people forget how antagonistic to truth and journalism the network has literally always been. Did we all forget that Bill O'Reilly was only a few years ago the foremost media villain in the country? The Colbert Report was meant to be a send-up of The O'Reilly Show. Al Franken's mid-2000s show on Air America was called The O'Franken Factor, after The O'Reilly Factor. The 2004 documentary about Fox News called Outfoxed: Rupert Murdoch's War on Journalism. The fact is that to hire Chris Wallace is to hire someone who was presumably okay with the Fox News that inspired all of that. The Fox News that was founded on divisiveness as a business model, racism, the manufacture of bottomless goodwill for the police and the military. The Fox that for 25 years has been pushing culture wars, actual wars, and the war on Christmas. And he was a part of all that. But my point is not that he's particularly bad or that he isn't less objectionable than the rest of Fox News. My point is that he's a cable news personality who offers almost exactly what every other cable news personality offers. This doesn't mean a huge shift of tone at Fox. Whatever tempering effect Wallace had, it didn't stop people like Tucker and Hannity and O'Reilly from becoming stars anyway. And now, CNN gains another right-of-center personality. One Chris leaves,
Chris Cuomo has been fired.
Another arrives. Chris for Chris. And the world of corporate news makes another rotation.